Good afternoon, and welcome to Man Cave Meditations. Let's dive in. So before getting into the video, I wanted to take a moment to have just a prayer of remembrance for those who lost their lives so needlessly 24 years ago. September 11th, 2001. I certainly remember where I was on that day. I'm sure everybody else does too. I was alive and ticking. And looking at what's going on now, it's almost, you can almost connect that time until now. It's like that was the moment when our innocence ended, to a degree. At least the veil of innocence. And taking a moment to speak on the horrific events of yesterday, September 10th. When a 31-year-old father of two was killed at a college campus in Utah. And I saw, watching one of my favorite shows, I Hit News, Jennifer, Angie, they made the connection. I think it was a MAGA right-winger who was talking about the Reichstag Fire. And I think it was Jennifer who was speaking, and she got on there and she was talking, going through the historical facts of what happened there during that time. And they nailed it. Because that's what I believe this was. January 6th, 2021, that was the equivalent, if we're comparing ourselves to the timeline of the 1930s Nazi Germany, the rise of Hitler in Nazi Germany. January 6th, 2021, that was the 1923 equivalent of the 1923 beer hall push. So I can talk about in another video. But basically Hitler and a bunch of his henchmen just decided to go in and try to take it. And they failed. At least the Weimar Republic at that time had the sense to lock Hitler up, at least for a few years. During which time he shared a cell with Rudolf Hess, and he wrote Mein Kampf. I think Hitler dictated and Rudolf Hess wrote it. Anyway, but I have the strongest feeling that this now. And this came from a right-wing media person, I don't remember which one, referring to this as the Reichstag, because he probably heard it from Miller. But they're trying to recreate, as they've been trying to recreate a lot of that timeline. So, just a quick, if anything is quick with me, a quick, just timeline of the Reichstag Fire, and some of the events that led up to it. You had post-World War I Germany was given, or just almost decimated with these massive reparation payments that came on it as a country, with basically the Allied nations that won World War I, that were the victors. Told Germany, in their infinite wisdom, they told Germany, yeah, you're at fault. You have to pay all of us X amount. And we're going to take some of your territory. They took the Rhineland. They took, I think, Lorraine, Alsace, And we're going to only allow you to have like 100,000 man standing army in the country. They just put their face in the dirt. And so then when you had the global depression at the end of the 20s, Germany went into hyperinflation. They were, laborers were, bringing home their salaries in wheelbarrows full of cash. Because they just kept printing money to try to solve the problem. They couldn't. It was hyperinflation. And so anyway, in 1933, when the Nazi Party, I think they took maybe a small majority in the Reichstag. But anyway, Hitler had been rising. He served a prison sentence, had been rising through the party since he got out. And the president at the time, von Hindenburg, the World War I war hero, he was the president of the Weimar Republic. And he chose, in order to create more of a right-wing political coalition against his left-wing opponents, he chose Adolf Hitler, the rising star of the leader of the Nazi Party, that had just taken over control to a degree, at least a majority in their equivalent of Congress, to be chancellor. 1933. And the Nazis, they, just like the MAGA party now, they wasted no time. They went right at it. They started to going after, they sent some decree of the freedom for the German people after he was in office for a month, Hitler, and it was basically allowed them to stop political assemblies, outlaw political assemblies, put a big muzzle on the press. You could only say X, Y, and Z. And they raided, because the communists were the bad guys. They were the enemy at that time. It became the Jews, but at first it was the communists. They were always the bad guys, but it expanded with time who the bad guys were. And they raided I think Berlin. They raided the communist, the headquarters, Communist Party headquarters in Berlin. Raided it. Said they found these seditious papers that talked about creating a communist uprising among the people of Germany. It stoked all this fear, right? And then it was February 27th, 1933. You had the Reichstag, which is the equivalent of the U.S. Capitol, was the equivalent of the U.S. Capitol at that time. Ornate building, beautiful. And there was a major fire on that day. It cost at that time, it was $1 million in damages. I think it was equivalent of 24 million, 25 million in today's money. A huge fire. It took the city of Berlin's fire department to put it out. So anyway, they had this fire, and then they found the culprit right there. It was I think it was an unemployed Dutch laborer who was a member of the Communist Party. Von Lauber? Sorry. Okay. But he was the guy who started the fire. He was the guy. They found him. Okay? And later on, it was they found him guilty, and later on, it was him and 4 other communist his collaborators, because he admitted to the fact that he started the fire in order to try to start a communist uprising. Admitted to it, probably under torture or some kind of duress. Gun to his head. We're going to kill your family unless you admit to this. Right? Something. I'm sure. So it was a confession. And they ended up beheading him after, I think he was tried. Yeah. But anyway, and that got out there, and that created this fervor, because it was already a fear of communists during that time, that had been created. It was also there was a fear of communism. It was in America too. A big fear in the U.S. It was fear of communism. It was prevalent. And they just used the people's fear, and then blaming this, what was the fire? It's never been proven that it was who started the fire, but somebody started it. One can deduce. And then after that, they just stoked this fear among the German people. And the German people were oh, down with the communists. They did this to our place, our seat of government. And Hitler and the party pressured Hindenburg to, I think it was like Article 48 maybe of the Weimar Constitution at that time, which basically gave Hitler dictatorial powers to deal with the threat, the communist threat. And Hindenburg went along with it. Shouldn't have, but he did. And then right away, I think it was like days after they passed through, the Nazi Party passed this, it was called the Reichstag Fire decree, which banned freedom of assembly, freedom of press, basically freedom of speech, right? It allowed them to go after their political opponents. So then all of a sudden you had thousands of people. The Nazis just rounded up like thousands of political opponents, tortured them, killed them, whatever, imprisoned them. And then before you know it, there was no opposition left in the government. Why? Oh, I wonder why. They got rid of everybody. And then they passed the Enabling Act, which basically said, oh, we could do whatever, governmentally, we could do whatever we want. We could pass whatever laws we want. We could do whatever we want. We're in charge. Charles in charge. And then before the end of that year, 1933, Hindenburg passed. A broken old man. And Hitler was named, I think, sanctioned by the army, I believe, as the president and chancellor. And that was it. We have it. We have the whole thing. We got it. We got the whole thing. But what was that? It was, if I strongly feel, thinking back on that they started the fire. They started the fire. So it's one side, basically, we do something bad, then we do something bad but blame it on the other side, rile everybody up, then we have to do something to counter that. We're playing both sides of the war. For us and the other side. And so what is this right now? I feel that they're trying to create a Reichstag fire. They're trying to create it. Start it. I mean, you have not even talking about the awful job numbers that are coming out right now. The polls are awful. He's historically unpopular. Then you have the Epstein files. That book was just released. And then you have this one young, vibrant Charlie Kirk, 31, father of two. God bless his family. Awful, awful. And he even said in his own words at one point, if the Democrats want to, I think it was something, I don't want to butcher it, but something like if the Democrats don't want to do, they can't beat you in debate, they're gonna kill you or something like that. Like he was a major mouthpiece for this, for Trump and this and that. So substitute him for the Reichstag building. He's the fire. That's what I feel. That's what I feel strongly. This has been planned. He's a sacrificial. His own side took him out. I feel that. I get it. For entertainment purposes only, but I feel that strongly. You have the pressure of all these Epstein files. Just beating down. And as I've said in several past videos, as he gets more and more cornered, the what they're going to want to do is going to be the distractions are going to become more and more abhorrent. And it's also the authoritarian takeover. They have no, they have no intention of allowing a midterm elections, free and fair midterm elections in 2026 to happen. So, what I feel happened, again, grain of salt, take it with a grain of salt, is that they killed their own guy. Probably Mercs. It was one shooter, yes, but there was a team. Had to be a team. There's probably people among the crowd, someone else watching. There was more than one person involved. And he was taken out. And if you just look at the fact that, they already confirmed that the shooter was on the roof. I mean, that was, and someone with military training. That was someone with sniper training. Again, that doesn't prove what I'm saying, but you look at the coordinated response, right? It's like they were ready. Like Miller went out right away. They knew to probably push it out to your top 5 or 10 MAGA influencers, your Laura Loomer, your Alex Jones, Andrew Tate, Jesse Waters on Fox. Get them all on the same page. It was a leftist. It was the left. It was the left. War. Civil war. But they haven't found anyone yet. They took one person in for custody and he was released. They haven't found anybody. Nor will they. At least not the actual person who killed him. I don't know how they're going to be able to do. How they're going to be able to, just frame someone outright like they did in 1933 in Germany. But you see it, that push. It's their fault. It's this, it's that. They're the bad guys. It's coordinated. It's a coordinated attempt. It is. It is. I'm sorry. I feel that strongly. His own side killed him. Sacrificial lamb. To try to, distract from the Epstein files, because it's not just Trump. There's other people that they don't want that stuff coming out. They don't. They don't want it to come out. They don't. People with power and influence, it's all their dirty little secrets. They don't want it to come out. They don't. And it's also the authoritarian power play. We're going to create this Reichstag Fire. Blame the other side for all of the things that we're actually doing. It's all projection. Just learning from him. It's like he's the individual that projects. Now the collective MAGA just projects everything. It's all them, the left. They kill people. Except for a few things. I saw some idiots laughing and celebrating his death, but besides that, all I've seen is empathy from the left, which is what, intelligent, discerning Americans. That's all I've seen. I've seen compassion, empathy. So this is it just has to be seen. Again, everything that I'm saying, I feel this. I do. I really don't want to be conspiratorial. But I feel that this was a Reichstag fire, the actual thing. Where they started a fire. They had him killed. To try to create this moment. Of getting their side with them. Look past the Epstein files, forget about that. Now it's war. and knowing at least Miller, I don't know who else is, Thiel, I know whoever, following this Nazi playbook, this Nazi regime playbook. Because let's be honest, at least in the 1930s, what they did to take power worked. I'm not saying it was good, they were good people, but it worked. They took power. They screwed it up in the end, yes, thank God. But it worked. And they're following that. They're following it. They're following that playbook. Right? Start the fire. Create an evil. They did it. They're the problem. We got to get them. President has to take dictatorial powers now. Just like that. We must see it. We must see it. Sorry for the length of it. God bless the victims of September 11th, and God bless Charlie Kirk and his family. God bless.